What is up, guys? Welcome back into Under the Radar College Football Edition. We're getting it up and going, revving it up here, trying to find different statistics, against the spread trends here that might be riding under the radar in the betting market. It's going to go after a couple teams here where really the markets, Las Vegas, DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever you want to call it, who is producing these lines, and then where the market is pushing it, where are they the most off so far at the beginning of the season? So we're 2 weeks in for most teams. Some teams 3 weeks in. Going to get after it here with the first team up. 41 points off against the spread so far against FBS opponents. That would be the Syracuse Orange, of course, playing in the dome there. And they got a game up against Purdue. And what I mean by 41 points against the spread off in their first two games is the number that they were either favored or underdogs by. In Syracuse's case, underdogs at one point. They're 41 points off in favor of Syracuse covering the spread by that much in the first two games. Of course, Syracuse came out the gate. They beat Louisville by a large margin, putting this up here. And really, one of the reasons why is their defense, just 11 points per game given up. Now, that could be directed towards their opponents not having a very good offense. However, it still needs to be stated that the odds makers are off in pricing Syracuse. So looking ahead towards this Saturday, they got the Purdue Boilermakers up in a competitively priced game here. So they are at home. Something to watch out there for. Syracuse could be a moneymaker early on. We got next team up here, kind of a high IQ here, and a team I really wasn't prepared to be looking to bet on just because they lost one of the best coaches really in college football. And they bring in Mike Elko here. I'm talking about the Duke Blue Devils. And sure enough, out the gate, they're 2-0 against the spread, plus 38 points against the spread. So that's how far the odds makers have been off with the Duke Blue Devils. Of course, both of these two teams at the top here in the Atlantic Coast Conference there, the ACC. Duke this upcoming week has an FCS opponent. Looking at the WagerTalk odds screen, guys, I'm seeing 27.5 against North Carolina A&T. Now, there's only a couple sports books out there, so it's likely to move here before Saturday's kickoff. Also, another thing to note, FCS spreads will sometimes move a little bit more. And sure enough, Duke opened minus 25. Now it's already 27.5. That points towards a lot of these teams that beat the sports that beat the spread early on in the season are going to continue to get bet. So when you're looking at betting the teams on this list, you're likely going to want to bet them earlier in the week rather than later, just because, this isn't rocket science, guys. This is, I'm just organizing it, putting it out there. But there's other sports bettors, sharper looks here that are going to get on this, on Monday and Tuesday and push this line up with the bigger money. So Duke taking some money against an FCS opponent. We got next team up here, Texas, the Longhorns. They are plus 26 points against the spread. And a big reason why, that 1 point loss to Alabama. They were near 3 touchdown underdogs at home. And sure enough, they're up over 25 points. ATS mispriced so far. They got UTSA, kind of the little brother in the state. That's the Roadrunners. They were actually a really good team last year to bet on as well. They just had a tough game against Army. Now they're coming to Austin. I don't know. This one's a very interesting game on Saturday. Also something to note here, guys, looking for change. Their quarterback is out 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know if that's really a bet on. We've actually seen money come in against Texas. That's something that's off. A team that's beaten the point spread by 25 points, 26 points in their first two games, and then have a 4-point move against them since the opener. That is something to definitely take note of. And sure enough, it's a structural change here with their quarterback likely not playing on Saturday. Next team up, heading to the SEC in the East Division, we get the Kentucky Wildcats, plus 24 against the spread points so far through their two games. Big reason why, that big upset in the Swamp, knocking off the Florida Gators as near touchdown underdogs. They did so by double digits, sure enough, pointing towards their beating the closing number by a good margin here. Look, this Saturday they got Youngstown State. It's an FCS opponent. This is another one similar to the Duke kind of where this number is moving. It opened 25. Now we're seeing 27.5. Goes to stay, guys. These teams that are beating the point spread, they're likely going to get bet earlier in the week. Now, this is an FCS opponent, so the number is actually just coming out, and it's not widely available, just at a couple sports books here. So it does need to be stated, you know, Kentucky there in Lexington, what Mike Stoops has been able to do is pretty impressive. This has been a money-making team for quite some time, not only a basketball school anymore, now a football school. I got Kentucky circled as bet on going forward. So, hey, they might make a push here, likely second in the East Division, but does need to be stated, a pretty good football team there for the Wildcats, and a good quarterback as well, likely in his last year playing college football. Watch out for him getting drafted pretty early. That is Levis there, their quarterback. Got next team up, BYU. Brigham Young here, plus 23 ATS points so far throughout this season. And they got a monster matchup here, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific at Oregon. One of the better games on the week 3 slate here in college football, plus 3.5. So out of all the teams we're talking, at least the main portion of this show under the radar right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, this is the one that is the underdog, plus 3.5 at Oregon. Looking at the WagerTalk odds screen, you can actually get them as high as plus 4 as I'm recording this here on Thursday. And when you look at BYU, they went on the road to Tampa and beat a South Florida team that was supposed to be improved with a lot of speed. They beat them down. They scored like 50 points. They had near 40 points in the first half. Of course, returning their quarterback, good offensive program there. Also, I always like to say with BYU, I think there is an advantage. You know, they have the oldest roster in terms of their age out of any college football team. You know, a lot of them being Mormon, going on the 2-year hiatus. You know, I forget what it's called there with the Mormon religion, but they come back usually 2 years older, and it shows on the football field. They're good in the trenches. They're big dudes, strong, pushing teams around. They also beat a very good Baylor Bears program, and that was at home. However, they're having to go on the road here to Eugene, Oregon, against an Oregon Ducks team that's favored by more than a field goal. And remember, Oregon lost, what was it, 49-3, something like that, to Georgia. I don't know. I might be on the dog here. However, Oregon themselves kind of fit that profile of a team right out the gate, getting blown out on a nationally televised game. A lot of people watching it. A lot of times those teams can be money makers as well. So kind of two sharp angles here in the BYU-Oregon game. That's going to be a fun one. Definitely have that circled to watch as well. We got USC heading to the Pac-12 up next, plus 23 against the spread points through their first 2 games. And obviously the change at the head coaching spot. We're getting kind of fireworks on the offense, bringing the quarterback from Oklahoma as well. And whenever you get these offenses that can really light it up, those sometimes can be good against the spread teams against lower talented opponents because they can kind of run up the score really fast. Sure enough, USC more than 3 touchdowns against the spread in the positive through their first 2 games. They got Fresno State up, and they're minus 12-point favorites here. Something to watch in a California battle there in week 3. Last team I'm going to break down for the main portion of the show. Got honorable mentions as well coming up. But heading to the SEC up next, Starkville, Mississippi, Mike Leach's program, Mississippi State, plus near 20 points against the spread. I got them plus 19 here. Of course, it matters what number you're going off of, but off of the closing line, plus 19 against the spread points through their first 2 games. Against pretty good competition, too. Arizona looks to be improved, was able to kind of win going away over the Wildcats. They got a big one at Baton Rouge here against LSU, where they're laying near a field goal, minus 2.5. This is going to be a great barometer to go off of for both the Bulldogs and the Bayou Bengals, just because there's going to be a lot to learn here. They both played pretty good teams. LSU playing Florida State, Mississippi State against a couple good opponents as well. Minus 2.5 on the road in Baton Rouge. That one kind of surprises me, though. Sure enough, it points towards Mississippi State being a good bet early on this season. So, guys, did want to throw out a couple honorable mentions we'll steam through real quickly. And the reason I put them as honorable mentions is because Yes, they have impressive against the spread positive results here early on in the season, but at least one of their opponents was an FCS opponent. So sometimes I don't put as much into that stock just because, you know, it might have to do more with just running up the score, and you can kind of pad your stats this way. But at the top here, it does need to be stated, the newest member to FBS football, a team that was an FCS team just last season, JMU, that's James Madison. They're plus near 50 against the spread points. They beat MTSU there going away. And that's a big reason why. South Alabama, USA here, the Jaguars in Mobile, Alabama, near plus 50 against the spread points as well. We got Arkansas State there in the Sun Belt, over 30 points against the spread. Also needs to be noted, one of those was a loss. Still, guys, that can almost make it more under the radar. Like, let's say you're a 44.5-point underdog, which Arkansas State was. Well, they held Ohio State to just 45 points, scored 12 themselves. So in terms of getting closer to that against the spread mark, that's a big reason why. Look out for Arkansas State there. Another Sun Belt team. You know, the Sun Belt showing strong so far this season. Plus 38 against the spread points. That's Georgia Southern. They were a big reason why Scott Frost lost his job there in Lincoln, Nebraska. Georgia Southern going on the road and beating Nebraska. It's showing in their against the spread mark so far. Marshall, another one of these teams that knocked off a big-time player in Notre Dame. They're up over 30 against the spread points. So you can see why some of these teams are really showing up in making some money and beating the closing spread here. Air Force as well, plus 30 against the spread points. A lot of people had Air Force circled as a really good team coming into this season. So far, they are showing up. Kansas State and Kansas making the list here, near 30 points against the spread in the positive. Kansas State, good showing against Missouri. And Kansas, the Jayhawks, you know, Lance Leopold coming over from Buffalo, very good head coach. Fundamentals at the key. We'll see if they can continue winning as they go into their Big 12 schedule, but they had a big win against West Virginia. Also does need to be noted, a huge interception there. Might make that, you know, against the spread mark against that West Virginia team a little bit better, but still needs to be noted they made the list. Rutgers as well, up 3 touchdowns. Tulane, the Green Wave, a team that was really underperforming last year, might be a bet on early on in this season. And Michigan State as well, near 20 points against the spread. That is the Spartans. They might be under the radar in the Big Ten. So that was the honorable mention list here, guys. I am Drew Martin, looking to do under the radar each and every week here, and actually gonna circle a couple for next week, the week after, both totals over and under. Actually, that could almost be a better money maker, watching out where these where the odds makers are mispricing these teams in the totals market. That's where I've had success in years past in college football, and also teams that have underperformed the closing line going forward. So make sure to come back and join us right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Midweek show here, guys, looking to find teams riding under the radar. Drew Martin, WagerTalk.com. Check out my experts page there. Got college football, NFL, Major League Baseball as well. We'll start up college basketball in November. So, guys, huge shout out to Dan Alexander behind the scenes making this show happen as well. Best of luck with your bets. Please smash that like button. Feel free to comment below what teams you agree with, what teams you think might be kind of just a facade and actually look to go against them. All is welcome here, guys. Also, if you are looking at a team that's riding under the radar that maybe I left off the list, let me know about it. We'll talk about it on next week's show. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk next week.